In spot number 10, we have Dave Chappelle. The comedian recently posted a video on Instagram asking his fans not to stream episodes of his Comedy Central show until he gets more money from them. He begged his fans not to boycott any network, but to boycott him and not watch it until he gets paid. If you're confused, he had abruptly quit Chappelle's show a few years ago without any notice, but because of the contract he had signed before he quit, he doesn't get any additional money for the work that he did back then. After he quit, they still released a shortened third season using previously unreleased sketches of his because they have the rights to them and he did sign a contract. He told his fans he asked Netflix to remove it and they did, but he is now criticizing Viacom BS, which owns Comedy Central, for what he says is an unfair deal. He basically doesn't want any of his old stuff airing unless he gets paid for it now. But what do you guys think? Personally, it's like, man, you signed a contract, you quit the show. I don't know, I don't think you can come back and start asking for money now. Up next, number 9 is Farrah Abraham. She found fame after appearing on the MTV show 16 and Pregnant and then Teen Mom OG. But she was eventually fired from the show after she got involved in the industry. She ended up creating her own line of toys and other items, and MTV did not see that as appropriate for their family-friendly show. A lot of people didn't agree with her choice since she has a young daughter who greatly looks up to her. But she has been attacked online for her parenting pretty much her entire career. She has had a complete transformation with plastic surgery, which has made her look like a completely different person. But she even live streamed some of her cosmetic work. She went on Instagram Live as she got butt injections while her 11-year-old daughter Sophia was in the room with her, literally just sitting there during a live stream. Her behavior as a parent has caused tons of controversy online to a point where people actually started a petition trying to get Sophia taken away from her. Coming into spot number 8, we have Sharon Osbourne. People were a bit thrown off about what her intentions were after she made some recent comments during an interview. The talk show host did an interview recently with CBS and shared her thoughts on the lawsuit between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. She compared their abusive relationship to the one she used to have with her husband Ozzy Osbourne. Sharon was very open about her opinion and admitted that her and her husband were once both physical towards each other. She even admitted that during one of the physical altercations, he told her that she was going to die and started to violently choke her. But as you can see, they continued to work on their relationship and they are still together to this day. A lot of people didn't agree with her decision to stay in an abusive relationship, and they also didn't like that she got involved in Amber and Johnny's lawsuit and basically compared the two relationships. She called their relationship volatile and said she doesn't know what they are using, and said she was in a similar relationship where she would give him what he gave her, claiming that Amber just gives back the abuse that Johnny gives her. You should probably just keep your mouth shut when it comes to like other people's relationships, maybe. I don't know. We all have an opinion on it, so. Sniping on number 7 spot is Dr. Phil. His actions are judged quite often since his show is used to help people, at least that is what their intentions are. So with a platform like this, people are always going to expect you to use your platform for good. But they were really disappointed in him when it came to COVID-19 because he was downplaying the virus and compared it to other yearly death causes. He compared the COVID-19 deaths to car accidents, pool drownings, and smoking-related illnesses. He was doing an interview with Fox News and said, "The fact of the matter is we have 45,000 people a year die from automobile accidents, 480,000 from cigarettes, 360,000 from swimming pools, and we don't shut down the country for that. And yet we are doing it for this, and the fallout is going to last years because people's lives are going to be destroyed." Now, he said this when the pandemic first started, so I don't think any of us really knew what was to come. He later admitted that he misspoke and apologized for using those bad examples. But that did not stop the backlash that he continued to receive. Rolling into spot number 6 is Kylie Jenner. She was begging her followers to stay home and social distance during the pandemic, but then she ignored her own advice. You can imagine how much that just irritated people. She started taking the heat after she posted photos of her trip to Paris when the rest of the world was unable to travel and were following COVID restrictions. She brought some of her friends with her on the trip, and people were quick to say how unfair it is that they can't travel to see their family, but she can travel to Paris with friends. She explained that she was allowed to enter the city for business purposes since the headquarters of the parent company to her makeup brand is based in Paris. But that's not excuse why her friends went with her and why she was posing around the city without a mask on. Unfortunately, her and the rest of her sisters have all been criticized for breaking COVID restrictions that the rest of us have to follow, so it's not really just Kylie, but I can't have them taking up this whole list. I had to pick one.
At number 5, Luann and Tom D'Agostino. Nothing says toxic like reality TV. Everything on those shows are incredibly toxic, so to have one feature a toxic relationship wouldn't really be much of a surprise. Real Housewives of New York cast members Luann and Tom D'Agostino were once a couple whose poor relationship was broadcast to the world. Apparently, everyone in the cast knew about how toxic things were, and some of them actually warned Luann about Tom, saying that he was untrustworthy and that he was still pining after his ex. This complicated things, but they still carried on with their relationship, and the two got married on New Year's Eve in 2016. Towards the end of the show's 8th season, it was revealed that one of the Real Housewives cast members had photos of Tom kissing another woman just days after his and Luann's engagement party. Soon it became apparent to the public that there were some serious troubles in their relationship. Luann and Tom even got into a heated argument in public at a restaurant, which ended with Luann slapping Tom across the face. This toxic relationship and Tom's constant infidelity was never resolved until the very end. They were only married for 7 months, and those were probably some of the most toxic 7 months of their lives. At number 4, Axl Rose and Erin Everly. Moving on to a toxic relationship from the rock world, we have the tumultuous relationship of Axl Rose and Erin Everly. Their relationship was very publicized and is one that is certainly ingrained in the rock world. The two met at a party in 1986 while Axl, the frontman for Guns N' Roses, was still an up-and-coming musician, and the two formed an instant connection. Erin quickly became one of the most important people in Axl's life, becoming the inspiration for the song Sweet Child of Mine. Despite being a beloved and good-looking match on the outside, they actually had a very toxic relationship, but that didn't stop them from getting married in 1990 in a Las Vegas ceremony. The toxicity started even before they were married because, according to Erin, Axl allegedly threatened to harm himself if she didn't marry him, so already things were off to a pretty rocky start. Their marriage didn't really last very long, as it was annulled in 1991, just 9 months after getting married. Fast forward to 1994, and Erin filed a civil suit against Axl where she alleged that she had been a victim of citing Axl as her attacker. Things have been messy since their split, as Erin has auctioned off memorabilia that she had kept from her days with Axl and the band, looking to rid herself of any trace of her old ties with them, showing us that things really were quite toxic back then. At number 3, Elizabeth Taylor and Conrad Hilton. Elizabeth Taylor was one of Hollywood's most memorable icons. Though she was incredibly successful in her professional life, her love life was not. Because she was married 8 times, she had some regrettable relationships, and some of them caused scandals, but others were just downright toxic. One of her shortest and most toxic marriages was to hotel heir Conrad Hilton. The pair were only married for 205 days before getting their marriage annulled after feeling neglected and abused by her new husband. This was her first marriage, as she was only 18 at the time of her wedding, but shortly after they tied the knot, Liz started to notice how indifferent Conrad was to her, recalling how she would feel hurt by the abusive language her husband was using towards her. During their honeymoon, the two also reportedly fought a lot and spent more time apart than they did together. So things were off to a rough start from the very beginning. Eventually, Liz saw that nothing was going to change with Conrad, and so she made the steps towards ending their marriage. Liz ended up winning her divorce on the grounds of mental cruelty. She also refused alimony and took back her maiden name. Essentially, she erased any connection she had to Conrad, almost pretending like it never happened. She later told news sources that her idea of marriage was naive, and so she regretted her decision to marry him in the first place. At number 2, Jennifer Lopez and Ojani Noah. Jennifer Lopez has been in her fair share of high-profile relationships. She's even been married 3 times. Now, although those marriages didn't really work out, they ended on okay-ish terms, except for her marriage to Ojani Noah, because that ish was just toxic. Their marriage lasted less than a year, but their relationship after their divorce was where things got super toxic. Ojani was seemingly only in the relationship to reap the benefits of being with a celebrity. He spent the time that they were together documenting much of his life with her as well as her habits behind the scenes, preparing them for his own tea spill, if you will. This relationship was doomed from the start, but JLo just didn't see that until it was too late. I mean, you would think that your partner isn't trying to use you for money and clout, so why would you really be expecting that? After their divorce, Noah tried leaking intimate photos and videos of the couple on their honeymoon, and he even had plans to release a tell-all book about the singer. It was almost like he was a behind-the-scenes paparazzi. JLo actually ended up suing Ojani in 2009 for $10 million, citing that the videos he released as well as the book and movie deals violated an agreement that they had which prohibited him from exposing the singer's life. That is some very toxic behavior. Using someone for your own personal gain is never a good thing. Finally, at number 1, Evan Rachel Wood and Marilyn Manson. Recently, actress Evan Rachel Wood came forward about her extremely toxic relationship with singer Marilyn Manson, as she cited years of manipulation, brainwashing, and pain, outing the singer as her abuser. She opened up about some of the things that she endured and witnessed, like starvation, sleep deprivation, threats, invasion of privacy, as well as anti-Semitism and racism. Sometimes this toxicity would bleed into other people's lives, as Wood alleged that Manson made threats against her loved ones as well. Manson's toxicity was apparent even after their relationship ended, as he said in an interview shortly after their relationship ended that he tried calling Evan while harming himself and then blamed her for his actions, saying, quote, "I wanted to show her the pain she put me through. It was like, I want you to physically see what you've done." Like, that is very disgusting behavior, and it hurts my soul to know that anyone has ever experienced this kind of behavior. From enduring verbal and physical violence, Evan has now spoken out about her experiences, and Manson has lost everything. As a result of the allegations against him, he was dropped by his music label and agent and is under investigation by the LA Sheriff's Department. The actress also condemned the music industry and his label for covering up the many instances of abuse, saying that they were aware of the circumstances behind the scenes. Evan also isn't the only person to come forward with similar allegations. Now the fight for justice is on, and we are hoping for the best for Evan as well as everyone who bravely came forward and those still healing from the trauma. Now I want you guys to leave a comment down below telling me about something nice you've done for a loved one recently.
At number 10, Selena Gomez and Justin Bieber. I remember when Selena and Justin were the talk of the town. Everyone was obsessed with their relationship, asking them questions about it, whether they were together on the red carpet or alone on a shopping trip. They started dating in 2011 when they were still teenagers, and from that point they had a rocky time together. They were on and off again for a while before finally ending things for good in 2018 when Hailey Baldwin came along. Already people were aware of how toxic Selena and Justin's relationship was, simply because of how many times they had public breakups and makeups, but in early 2020, Selena came forward to talk more in depth about their relationship and how she experienced mistreatment. Selena said that she was, quote, "a victim of certain abuse," saying that what she felt was emotional mistreatment from Justin. She also went on to say that it took her a long time to find strength in her experiences and to shake her, quote, victim mentality. Justin never released a statement in response, but in late 2019, he did open up about his actions in past relationships, saying that he became, quote, resentful and disrespectful to women and angry. We don't know at which point this started happening in their relationship, but it's good to see that they are both doing better since moving on. At number 9, Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. Now, having a list of toxic celebrity relationships, you already know we're going to include Johnny Depp and Amber Heard's tumultuous relationship. A lot was uncovered during their massive court case last year that basically exposed Amber for having hurt Johnny while they were together. We heard stories about Amber severing Johnny's finger with a glass bottle, many of the fights they had, and even recordings of Amber antagonizing and hurting Johnny. There were instances of physical abuse as well as verbal and emotional, showing the world how toxic things really were. We found out about how Amber had been cheating on Johnny and how she allegedly went out of her way to outshine him in their industry, always being ready to make big headlines to overshadow him. When one of the recordings showing Amber admitting to hurting her husband were released, it said that it, quote, exposes that Miss Heard perpetrated serial violence against Mr. Depp. This went on for far too long, showing us that the toxicity ran deep and it made a mess of everything. Now, before I go any further, I'd like to ask you guys to consider leaving a like on this video if you are enjoying it so far, and also head on over to our gaming channel Viper Girl if you're looking to enjoy some chill gameplay vibes. At number 8, Tina and Ike Turner. Ike and Tina Turner were a powerhouse couple in the eyes of the media as well as fans, but behind the scenes things were very messy and toxic. They first met while Tina was still a teenager and they soon hit it off and started performing together. Soon their duo catapulted them to stardom, bringing them a lot of success, but because they were so close, things got very toxic. They got married in 1962 and stayed together for the following decade, but Tina was living her life in pain. In her book, Tina wrote about how Ike was an abusive partner, saying, quote, "He threw hot coffee in my face, giving me third-degree burns. He used my nose as a punching bag so many times that I could taste blood running down my throat when I sang. He broke my jaw and I couldn't remember what it was like to not have a black eye," end quote. Things got so bad that Tina wanted to end her life, but thankfully she survived her attempt, and she used her survival as fuel to get the strength to leave Ike and this toxic life behind. They eventually went their separate ways, with Tina becoming a bigger star and becoming an advocate, raising awareness about abuse. At number 7, Emma Roberts and Evan Peters. American Horror Story stars Emma Roberts and Evan Peters had a very tumultuous relationship that unfolded in the public eye. Though they've both moved on, there was a time when their toxic relationship took over their lives. They started dating in 2012 and they had their share of makeups, breakups, ups and downs until they officially ended things in 2019. Their relationship had its faults. People said that their attitudes towards each other would change a lot, going from having a lovely time together to not speaking to one another for days. Sources also said that while working together on American Horror Story, they would make life on set a living hell. An insider revealed that, quote, "As soon as the director yells cut, Emma and Evan are making out. That is, if they're not screaming at each other," end quote. In 2013, they had an abuse scandal after Emma was arrested on domestic charges after the couple got into a heated argument. Though the incident left Evan with a bloody nose, they tried to move past it and carry on with their relationship. They weren't at all a good couple, and it's best that they are no longer together. At number 6, Rob Kardashian and Blac Chyna. One toxic relationship that was broadcast to the world was that between Rob Kardashian and Blac Chyna. Though the relationship was pretty short-lived, things were still messy, toxic, and very public. The two got together in January 2016, and just a few months later, in April of that year, they announced their engagement. Fast forward to November of 2016, and they welcomed their daughter Dream into the world. Things ended as quickly as they started, and by February of 2017, they announced that they had split after trying to make things work for the sake of their daughter. During their relationship, they showed fans a glimpse into their lives as part of their reality show, Rob and Chyna. During this time, sources said that they fought a lot, and their actions were fueled by anger and revenge, and there were even allegations of domestic violence. This toxicity wasn't just exclusive to their relationship, however, as it also bled into the Kardashian family as well. They've been going head-to-head in legal battles, and things have just been rocky ever since, showing that sometimes people really aren't meant to be together.
Halfway through the list, at number 5 is Mumford & Sons. The band is known for their music, but also for some pretty serious party fouls. They have made headlines on numerous occasions, one of them when they wrapped up a performance at Atlanta Centennial Olympic Park. After they were done performing, they made their way to the Claremont Lounge, which is a famous strip club in the city. Apparently, it was karaoke night, and they were getting pretty rowdy. One of the band members, Ben Lovett, made his way up on stage to sing a few songs. Naturally. But when the other bandmates started filming the event, things escalated very quickly. Most people know that you are not allowed to film inside a strip club. I feel like you've learned this rule even if you've never been to one. Like, you just know. But they kept pushing against the rules and ignored the staff members telling them to put their phones away. Security even went over the speaker phones and interrupted the song, but the band members started yelling and cursing. They ended up being removed from the venue and were banned from ever going back. They're lucky they were charged. You cannot film that. Coming into number 4 is Amanda Bynes. There was a time when everyone in Hollywood was trying to avoid her because they didn't want to end up on her Twitter feed. Back in 2013, the actress went on Twitter rants where she started attacking other celebrities with disturbing insults and inappropriate sexual invitations. She began harassing Drake on Twitter, saying that she wanted to hook up with him, to put it lightly, but then called him ugly and said that he had Down syndrome, and also went on to insult his mother. But Drake was not the only one that she attacked. She actually just called out a bunch of celebrities very randomly. Down the road, she opened up about it after explaining her struggle with mental illness and receiving treatment to get better. She actually blamed her Twitter rants as one of the reasons that she ruined her career. She said, "It makes me feel so horrible and sick to my stomach and sad. Everything I worked my whole life to achieve, I kind kind of ruined it all through Twitter. Her behavior was very toxic in the past, but people are finally having an understanding where it all came from and what she was really going through. In the third spot is Courtney Love. It is no secret that she is not exactly adored when it comes to the rock and roll scene. She's made a name for herself, but has also gained the reputation of making people uncomfortable. She has struggled with a drug and alcohol addiction for many years, which has made her process in Hollywood a lot more difficult than it probably needed to be. Even during times that she claimed she was sober, people still did not believe her. She once claimed that she was Lindsay Lohan's personal sobriety coach, but Lindsay was quick to shut that down. Love also claimed that she found the location of the legendary missing Malaysian airplane. Maybe her intentions are good, but with her unpredictable behavior and habits, it's hard not to think that she is too toxic to be around. There's also the very famous debate on whether or not she killed her husband, Kurt Cobain, so there's always that too. If people do believe she killed someone, I wouldn't want to be around that person. Yeah. Like if I believe she killed someone, I'm not gonna be around them. So, just saying. Taking over the number 2 spot is Kevin Spacey. The former House of Cards star was accused of sexual misconduct by numerous people back in 2017, and it ended with him being blacklisted in Hollywood. He lost everything in a quick amount of time, but somehow walked away as a free man, which many people did not agree with. I'm pretty sure most people did not agree with that. If that didn't give people enough reason to hate him, during the recent COVID pandemic, he told listeners on a German podcast that he could empathize with those who lost their jobs to COVID, even though he had a very different reason as to why he went unemployed. He said, "I still believe that some of the emotional struggles are very much the same, so I do have empathy for what it feels like to suddenly be told that you can't go back to work or that you might lose your job, and that it's a situation that you have absolutely no control over." Obviously, this caused chaos online as people said that they are absolutely not comparable situations. Earning the number 1 spot is Belle Delphine. The cosplay YouTuber has had a very controversial career for a few different reasons. Her costumes and content can be a bit too sexual for some people's likings, and she started selling jars of her bath water, which people thought was kind of gross and weird. There were even rumors that she was selling a jar of urine for $10,000, but that was never confirmed. Thank God. Her YouTube channel was completely terminated out of nowhere recently after YouTube said she broke their sexual content policies. Apparently, 3 days before it was terminated, one of her videos was flagged for sexual content and removed, which she agreed was a little risky. But she fought to get her channel back, claiming that her content isn't any worse than the WAP music video, which is a valid point, but others fought against her and said her content is too sexual for YouTube and the young audience that she has. Some people believe even 18 plus is still too young for the content she produces. But if you think her content is fine, then you probably don't see her as being toxic. However, News Justin, this morning I saw it, she just said on a podcast that she is doing her first adult film and she's going to be selling the used condom from that video. That is so weird. Tell me that's not f***ed up. And is Britney Spears and Kevin Federline. He was a backup dancer and a rapper when he first met Britney, and after only 3 months of dating, the two of them went and got married, which seemed to do more damage than good to their relationship. Their marriage was not long, it only lasted 2 years, but it was a difficult 2 years for them. Kevin was accused of abandoning his pregnant ex-girlfriend, Shar Jackson, to date the famous and wealthy Britney Spears, who he also had 2 children with during their very short marriage. Their marital problems got so bad that Britney filed for divorce in 2006, citing irreconcilable differences. From there, the two of them had a very vicious battle for custody of their 2 children. Initially, they both filed to have sole legal and physical custody of the kids, but the courts ruled that Kevin should have full custody. On the night of January 3rd in 2008, police were called to her residence as she was refusing to give up her children, who she locked in a room with her. Britney went through a very personal, rough patch in her career, which we all saw, but she did manage to get her life back on track and is able to co-parent in the end. Rolling into number 9 is Khloe Kardashian and Lamar Odom. Their love story moved very fast, which many people were concerned about when it first happened. Back in 2009, they shocked everyone when they announced that they got hitched after just 3 weeks of dating. You literally don't even know someone after 3 weeks. How are you possibly getting married? They were married for 4 years before the divorce papers were submitted and things got really hectic. The world soon learned that Lamar was struggling with substance abuse and had been unfaithful to Khloe on more than one occasion. Despite being on her family reality show, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, somehow they were able to hide the fact that he had been going in and out of rehab centers. Things took a really bad turn when Lamar had a near-death experience and was found unconscious inside of a brothel. It is then that we learned he had been cheating on Khloe more than we realized, and that his addiction was a lot more serious than anyone knew. Khloe officially filed for divorce on December 13th, 2013, and the two of them have since moved on with other people. Swiping the number 8 spot is Eminem and Kim Mathers. Reports say that Eminem and his ex-wife Kim were actually married twice. The first time being from 1999 to 2001, and then briefly down the road in 2006. They seemed like a match made in heaven at first, dating for over a decade and having a beautiful daughter together. The two of them actually met at a house party when they were just kids. She was only 13 and he was 15, so they were together before Eminem made a huge name for himself. They actually dated all throughout high school, so when they got married it was really cute because they had the whole high school sweetheart story. But after he became famous, their relationship only ever made press for very negative reasons. It became publicly known that both of them had been disloyal to one another throughout the relationship and that they both were dealing with substance problems. After they split, sources said that the two of them would fight often and that their fights would get pretty nasty. Eminem also wrote his epic rap called Kim, where he describes what he wishes he could do to her now, and it's very disturbing. You should go listen. Up next, number 7 is Chris Brown and Rihanna. They seem like the music industry's perfect power couple, and from the outside looking in, everything seemed like it was a perfect love story. That was until one fateful night in 2009 when the horrific news broke that he had left her bruised and bleeding after an argument. Rihanna even testified against him in court, which is why fans were so surprised when they tried to give their relationship another shot a few years down the road. After the altercation, Chris was arrested and sentenced to community service and domestic violence counseling. He openly talked about his low point in the relationship and called himself a monster for what he did. But he also admitted that she got physical with him too, and that oftentimes all their arguments turned to violence, whether it was scratching, slapping, pushing, basically everything. So obviously the relationship was extremely toxic, and it was probably for the best that they went their separate ways. Coming in at number 6 is Rob Kardashian and Blac Chyna. Their relationship wasn't long, but it was probably longer than it should have been. They dated from 2016 to 2017 and even got engaged and had a baby girl together during this time. We got to know them as a couple through their own reality TV series called Rob and Chyna, and anyone who watched it could tell that it was a very toxic relationship. The two of them fought all the time and also had a lot of trust issues with each other. The show only lasted one season, because their relationship only lasted one season. Their breakup was a really nasty one as well. She moved out of their home and Rob went online and started attacking her, even posting some of her nude photos for the world to see. After that, they got into a very nasty custody battle, but they did go their separate ways for good, still co-parenting their daughter Dream. I love to see the co-parenting at least. At least. Freaking least you can do if you bring the child into this world. Halfway through at number 5 is Charlie Sheen. If you followed any of his behavior in recent years, then you would already understand why he is on our list. At one point in time, he was the highest paid TV actor in Hollywood, earning $1.8 million an episode, crazy, for his role on 2.5 Men. But then in 2018, he was admitting to Vanity Fair that he had been blacklisted. He said, "I've been unable to find steady work and have been blacklisted from many aspects of the entertainment industry. It was his addiction to drugs and alcohol that led him there after he had multiple trips to rehab, domestic violence charges against him by multiple women, lashing out at producers, and demanding a 50% raise on top of his $1.8 million an episode." Directors have said he is too much of a liability because his past behavior was so impulsive, but he has sobered up and there is a chance that he could turn his reputation around. Rolling into the number 4 spot is Azealia Banks. She's got a reputation for being a feisty little firecracker, and her temper has landed her in some trouble on more than one occasion. She has started storms on Twitter with her abrasive and offensive tweets, and she has been both physically and verbally aggressive in public. Allegedly, she's known as the Party Plague because she has been kicked out of numerous bars, parties, and even airplanes. She was investigated investigated after she punched a security guard who was trying to remove her from a Los Angeles bar one time. Video footage of the incident led the LAPD to open a case against her. I mean, we all have that one drunk, aggressive friend at the bar, and like once they just start going off and getting aggressive, like we just pretend we don't know them. You know what I mean? I do that. I have friends, they just try to look for fights and stuff, and I'm just like, you're on your own, I ain't trying to get involved in that. And I just pretend I don't know them. In the third spot is Justin Bieber. The singer has done some damage to his reputation over the years, but at one point in time he had a clean record. Part of his career seemed to get out of control and he was facing drunken misdemeanors like peeing in a public restaurant, skipping out on tabs, being removed from Coachella by a chokehold, and caught drinking underage. Fans also started to turn against him because they didn't like his attitude or behavior. He no longer took photo with fans. In fact, he actually yelled at fans who would try to take a picture or a video of him, and in one incident he allegedly spit on his fans. In more recent times though, after marrying Hailey Baldwin and moving to Canada, he seems to be under the radar and is kind of staying out of news headlines like as best as he can, unless they're good ones of course. Taking over number 2 is Farrah Abraham. She became famous from MTV's hit series Teen Mom, but as her career took off, fans started to question her parenting and didn't really agree with her behavior or choices. At one point in her career, she decided to star on Teen Mom and become an adult film star and entertainer. So of course, MTV could not allow her to stay on the show Teen Mom with children. So she ended up starting her own line of sex toys after that and underwent a ton of plastic surgery. The only press she gets these days is bad press because of her social media live streams. She gets butt injections, literally on her live stream, you know, like for promotion, shows her butt and everything, and her 11-year-old daughter Sophia is in the room with her, like talking about the butt injections. Her parenting choices are hers to make, obviously, but you can understand why people would see this as toxic. Earning the number 1 place is Shane Dawson. He first joined YouTube back in 2008 with a channel called Shane Dawson TV. His personality and funny skits at the time won people over and he skyrocketed into fame, which led him to creating his own series called Conspiracy Theories with Shane Dawson. However, in this past year or so, he has been facing a harsh reality after people revealed old footage of him doing blackface, making racist comments, saying inappropriate comments about minors, and saying he sexually assaulted his cat. Now honestly, these are just a few of the controversies he is facing right now. What pushed everyone over the edge though was a recent video where he was performing inappropriate gestures towards a poster of Willow Smith when she was underage. Things are so bad for him right now that YouTube just canceled all ads across all 3 of his channels, which means that he is making $0 on any of his videos. Starting us off at the number 10 spot is Jeffree Star. If you follow the YouTube community, then you know about the beauty guru even if you aren't interested in makeup. Even if you are a fan of him, he's always in the middle of every scandal, and recently he's been putting out fires everywhere in his career for a lot of harsh claims. He's being called a racist for past comments he's made. He was accused of knowing about the Davy Vanity sexual assault cases, and most recently accused of bullying James Charles and setting up that huge 2019 scandal to a point where James had suicidal thoughts. There is a lot to the drama because he's been a huge influencer on YouTube for years, but he's always the front man in every scandal, so we all can agree that that is a toxic place to be. Up next, number 9 is Perez Hilton. With his job, it's kind of impossible to not come off as a toxic person in Hollywood. He's a famous media personality who got known off his celebrity blogging pieces. His website covers all the latest drama and gossip about celebrities, and because he's the one dishing out the information, he often takes a lot of heat for it. I mean, we kind of do the same thing on our channels, like we cover the latest celebrity news, stories, and updates, and sometimes people come at us as if we're making up the gossip, but really we're the ones just delivering the news, like it's our job. But Perez kind of inserts himself in situations, like he tweets at celebrities causing these feuds, and he often just shares his opinion even when he's not asked to. So for more reasons than one, he could be viewed as very toxic. Cruising into number 8 is Kim Kardashian. Some people would argue that the whole Kardashian family, like in general, should be on this list, but Kim takes a lot of heat, especially being married to Kanye West, because we all know Kanye West and his erratic behavior. She recently received a ton of backlash after posting a video of her wearing a corset from her Met Gala outfit. In the video, her waist looks incredibly small and people immediately started accusing her for setting dangerous body standards that could be dangerous to women and young girls that follow her. Even actress Jameela Jamil called her out publicly and accused her of being obsessed with her body shape and overall image. Maybe Kim doesn't realize how those types of posts could affect people, but it could be very toxic, especially for young girls who are influenced more by the media. In our number 7 spot is Chris Brown. He let the world know he was in a toxic relationship in 2009 when he faced assault charges from his girlfriend at the time, Rihanna. He pleaded guilty to the charges and openly admitted that they were both physical with each other and said that he punched her in the face and busted her lip. Since then, he's always had an angry reputation, like getting kicked out of clubs, having feuds with other celebrities, and smashing windows in the back of a studio after walking off set because he didn't like the interviewer's question. Other celebrities have come forward saying that they just try to avoid him, probably for the best. Moving on to number 6, we have Lindsay Lohan. She was once one of the biggest celebrities in Hollywood, but struggled with an addiction that led to her arrest. She eventually got sober and moved to Dubai because she wanted to avoid paparazzi, and it is illegal over there. Fun fact. I don't think people had an issue with her addiction because we understand that some people struggle with it. It was her aggressive and erratic behavior that people just don't want to be involved with. She doesn't have a very good track record with other celebrities in more recent times, and because of her charges and reputation, a relationship with her could be toxic to their reputation. It looks like she is trying to make a comeback right now though, guys, so let's cross our fingers and send positive vibes her way because I loved her and I would just, I would love a turnaround. I really would. Miss her and Amanda Bynes. I miss both of them very much. Halfway through at number 5 is Selena Gomez and Justin Bieber. Their relationship is famous for being on and off again, and we all know that any relationship that is known for that is probably a toxic one. Their relationship was a fairy tale love story at first, and many fans thought they were gonna be together forever. I legit thought they were gonna get married. But they were on and off for a total of 6 years, which is a long time for two people to try and figure out if they were gonna work or not. People were surprised to see them spending time together in paparazzi photos, and the two of them were apparently trying to make things work. But then, just a few months later, bam, Justin Bieber is married to Hailey Baldwin. That is when Selena Gomez released a single called Lose You to Love Me, where her lyrics talk about their past relationship, where she said he moved on and replaced her in 2 months. So people are pretty positive that she was referring to his marriage with Hailey. Justin seems really happy and in love with his new wife, and Selena is healthy and happy living on her own, as far as we know. At number 4 is Kourtney Kardashian and Scott Disick. I have 3 Kardashians on this list, and I don't know if that is a good thing or not. Anyone who followed the series Keeping Up with the Kardashians would have seen the ins and outs of their relationship, which was filled with a lot of highs, but also a lot of lows. They started dating back in 2006 after they met at a house party. They dated for almost 10 years, and during that time they welcomed 3 children into their life. But throughout these years, Scott was struggling with an alcohol addiction and was often accused of being unfaithful. It wasn't until 2015, when he was caught in a cheating scandal, that Kourtney finally called it quits and they went their separate ways. They both went on to date other people, but there were times when they were trying to see if they could make it work, but it just wasn't. In recent times, rumors are saying that they might be back together right now, or they're at least trying to be, but nothing has been confirmed. It is a lot of on and off, and we can only imagine how hard that is for the kids, especially because they've dated other people, so they're just bringing other people into the kids' lives, Could be a very messy situation. In the 3rd spot is Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. I think their $100 million lawsuit is enough proof that their relationship is a toxic one. We have learned a lot about the relationship because of it, with each of them bringing forth different evidence against the other, most of their claims being pretty disturbing. Some of their claims have involved domestic violence, alcohol addiction, substance abuse, and apparently Amber pooping on their bed as a funny prank. The lawsuit has been going on for years, and it keeps getting more toxic as time goes on. Amber's reputation has been completely destroyed online, and now she is wanting to sue Johnny and his legal team, claiming that they hired bot accounts to attack her social media pages. The court dates are also now affecting Johnny's film schedule, which he signed a legal contract for, so he might end up in a Warner Brothers lawsuit by the end of all of this. Taking over the 2nd place spot is Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee. The Baywatch star was only married to him from 1995 to 1998, but during their brief relationship, things were less than ideal for them. At the time, they were a rock and roll love story for all ages. They both admit that it was love at first sight for them, but their relationship was a dramatic roller coaster that came crashing down. Despite the issues, they had 2 kids together, which Pamela said was a decision that they made out of true love at that time. But she also admitted that Tommy had often mistreated her and that the relationship was very dark, so they decided to split after just a couple years. Their split caused issues down the road, with their sons feeling torn between them. In March 2018, one of their sons, Brandon, allegedly punched Tommy in the face and knocked him unconscious after he posted a derogatory tweet about his mom. So the family dynamic was very toxic even after the relationship came to an end. Brandon was in the recent The Hills reboot reality series, and he talked about his parents, and he also revealed that he and his dad have been working on their relationship. We've made it to number 1, and we have Kurt Cobain and Courtney Love. One of the biggest love stories of all time, but mainly because there's always been a lot of controversy surrounding their relationship. They got married on February 24th, 1992, just 2 years prior to Kurt's tragic death. They were only dating for months before they decided to tie the knot. But then the tragic news broke that Kurt was found dead in his Seattle home with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Reports say that the relationship was a lot more toxic than anyone knew, and that Courtney was the one who introduced heroin to him, which was the start of a very self-destructive lifestyle and relationship. Many people have come up with the theory that she actually had something to do with his death. She claims that all he wanted to do was play his guitar at home and do heroin, and that he had attempted suicide on more than one occasion. But others think that it was part of her plan because she was given more than $50 million after getting a stake in the publishing rights of Nirvana's music.
At number 10, Chris Brown and Rihanna. One of the most toxic relationships out there was that between Chris Brown and Rihanna. No one is quick to forget that incident that happened after the pre-Grammys party in 2009. Though they were seen as the industry's it couple, things were far from perfect and were clearly very negative and toxic. On the night before the Grammy Awards, Chris and Rihanna got into a serious physical altercation which left Rihanna hospitalized from her injuries. Chris was labeled as a monster for what he did that night. A police investigation was conducted and Chris pled guilty to felony assault. As a result, he was sentenced to 5 years probation and 6 months community service. A lot of people believe that he should have been given a harsher sentence because of how severely he hurt his girlfriend, but what do you guys think? Did he deserve more punishment or did he get what he deserved? At number 9, Mariah Carey and James Packer. Apparently, Mariah Carey is a horrible person. In the past, we've heard stories from people who've worked with the singer saying how she is so mean behind the scenes, but apparently the same goes in her romantic relationships as well. Yeah, maybe all she wants for Christmas is you, but at what cost? According to some sources, her relationship with James Packer was the most toxic. She allegedly treated him like garbage, even throwing his personal items, including his laptop, out of the window, all because he played a Beyonce song. Their relationship ended just before they were set to get married because she, quote, wasn't happy with his behavior, but James' management fired back, claiming that Mariah was twisting things. Bottom line is that things were toxic and needed to end. Now before I go any further, I'd like to ask you guys to consider leaving a like on this video, and also head on over to my gaming channel Viper Girl if you're looking to enjoy some more awesome content. At number 8, Marilyn Monroe and Joe DiMaggio. I couldn't imagine the pressure of being an A-list star. The public's eyes are always on you, from your everyday outings to your love life. Having a relationship must also be very difficult when you're famous because everyone feels entitled to having an opinion on your love life. When one of Hollywood's biggest stars, Marilyn Monroe, got married to Joe DiMaggio, it was a very big deal. Everyone thought that the actress and the athlete looked like a beautiful match who were deeply in love, having met and married within a relatively short amount of time. Really, at the time, they were hashtag relationship goals. They got married in a quiet City Hall ceremony in January 1954 and turned a work trip to Japan into their honeymoon, as they had to squeeze their special day in between work engagements. But just 9 months later, their spark had faded and their relationship was over. The problem was that Joe allegedly wanted Marilyn to be a stay-at-home wife, but because Marilyn was at the height of her career and she loved her work, she wouldn't agree to that, and she just wanted to keep working. Joe also apparently had a hard time coming to terms with his wife's public image, being a Hollywood idol, and apparently her famous subway gate scene was the last straw for him. Their marriage ended with Marilyn citing mental cruelty as one of the reasons behind their divorce because of how toxic things had become. She didn't like how her husband refused to support her, and that's just not the kind of energy she needed in her life. At number 7, Kate Moss and Pete Doherty. There are many ways that a relationship can be toxic. It can be more one-sided or it can be mutual. Kate Moss and Pete Doherty's relationship was one that was toxic from both sides. Though they were engaged at some point, they still had their problems. In an interview, Pete once said that with Kate, he was, quote, always dodging bullets. He claimed that Kate had a bad temper, saying that she once accused him out of the blue of having an affair and then verbally and physically assaulted him. On the other hand, Kate had a big problem with Pete's substance abuse, demanding that he quit, but also taunting him with substances of her own. They were an on and off again couple who really just weren't good for each other. They kept going back to each other until around 2007, where they decided to stay apart for good. And it was a very toxic situation, but their breakup was probably for the best. At number 6, Saweetie and Quavo. No one really acknowledged it until recently, but singer Saweetie and rapper Quavo had a very toxic relationship. The pair recently announced their breakup, and though it started off looking like a simple case of two people growing apart, soon the public found out that there was more to the story than once thought. Shortly after announcing their breakup, footage was leaked which showed the former couple fighting in an elevator. The footage showed the two of them in a physical altercation, showing Saweetie trying to strike Quavo, a suitcase being thrown, Quavo falling on top of his girlfriend, and ending with Saweetie limping away. Though this footage was from a year ago, it gave people a different perspective on how their relationship was at the time. Their problems were only just now publicized and sort of exposed the two of them for being toxic. Both Saweetie and Quavo have said that they've moved on from this incident, and Quavo issued a statement assuring that he's never abused his girlfriend. Their breakup has caused some drama within Quavo's family, making this a very toxic situation. At number 5, Beyonce and Jay-Z. Even though they are one of the industry's most famous couples, that doesn't mean they aren't toxic. Though Queen Bey and Jay-Z are seen by many as a Hollywood power couple, they have also had their troubles and toxicity, and they seem to have started back in 2014. It all started when Solange and Jay-Z got into that big elevator fight at the Met. For a long time, no one really knew what the reason was for this brawl. Some thought it was money, others thought it was family drama, but apparently it was because he had been confronted about an alleged affair he was having with his former business partner's ex-wife. Though no one really acknowledged or spoke about this apparent infidelity, things started to get even more toxic in 2016 after Beyonce released her album Lemonade, where she made several subtle and not so subtle comments on her husband's alleged affair. Of course, instead of talking about it in private, Jay-Z instead released his own album in response, where he apologized to his wife for his infidelity and addressed some of the issues in their relationship. After all of this music drama, the two of them were able to work through their differences and have sought out couples therapy to rebuild their bond. No one knows if this scandal still hangs over their head and if that toxicity is still there, but at least they're trying to work through it civilly. At number 4, Tana Mongeau and Cole Kerrigan. Social media feuds can often bring out the most toxic relationships. Even though they have reportedly been friends for some time, influencers Tana Mongeau and Cole Kerrigan have been caught in a feud after Cole alleged that Tana hacked his social media accounts and tried to sue him for $100,000. Cole called Tana out after sharing a screenshot of a cease and desist text that he was allegedly sent by Tana's lawyer. The text he received essentially warned Cole that he was in violation of a contract that he had signed with Tana and that a breach of contract would subject him to pay $100,000. The contract in question, a non-disclosure agreement, is one that Tana allegedly has her circle of friends sign each year, and so now Cole is apparently in trouble after one of his social media posts violated the terms of said contract. Cole has also claimed that Tana hired someone to hack his social media accounts, where they were then able to delete a number of his accounts, like his YouTube channel and Twitter account. Cole has also claimed that Tana has kicked him out of her house, used him for free makeup services, and would even go through his personal belongings when he wasn't home. Even friends who seem happy on the surface clearly have their dark, toxic secrets as well. At number 3, Meghan Markle and Kate Middleton. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry have been the talk of the town ever since their bombshell Oprah interview, and they've been scrutinized for a lot of what they spoke about. One of the biggest things that people have taken away from their interview was their toxic relationship with the royal family. According to sources, one of the most strained relationships is that between Meghan Markle and Kate Middleton. Meghan and Kate have reportedly been on poor terms for quite a long time, with some sources saying that they haven't spoken to each other in over a year. A lot of people say that things are toxic between the two of them, and this narrative was heightened because of the interview. During the interview, Meghan addressed the public's view on her feud with Kate over Princess Charlotte's dress at Meghan's wedding, saying that that Kate made her cry over it. Though they eventually patched things up and Kate apologized, they haven't spoken to each other much, and because of the feud between their husbands, it's added even more strain to their relationship. The royal family clearly has a lot of drama going on these days, and even one of the world's most famous families can have its toxicity. Hopefully Meghan and Kate can one day patch things up for the sake of being rid of this negative energy. At number 2, Cardi B and Offset. Rappers Cardi B and Offset have had a rocky and toxic relationship. Though they've been together for some time now and they have a daughter together, that doesn't mean that their relationship is all sunshine and rainbows. There have really been a few times where their behavior has opened up a lot of fans' eyes and have labeled their relationship as toxic. Rumors have been a part of their relationship for a while, the most common rumor being about cheating. In September of 2020, Cardi actually filed for divorce from Offset after rumors started circulating that he had cheated on his wife and he had actually gotten another woman pregnant during that time. Fast forward a month to October 2020 and the relationship was patched up after Offset bought Cardi a $300,000 car and a billboard dedicated to her. When Cardi took him back, that's when the internet started talking about how toxic their relationship really was. People were honestly very surprised that Cardi took Offset back even after everything he did to her, with some adding that Offset was using guilt and emotional manipulation to keep her in his life. In response to some fans' comments, Cardi defended her relationship, saying that it wasn't toxic as everyone believes and that she is not in an abusive relationship. Does the fact that she's defending her husband make you think that they are in fact toxic or just misunderstood? Let me know down in the comments. Finally, at number 1, Kourtney Kardashian and Scott Disick. The Kardashians have seen their fair share of toxic relationships, obviously, but out of all of them, Kourtney and Scott's relationship has to be one of, if not the most toxic. Kourtney and Scott have been on and off again since 2006, and even though they've broken up so many times, they can't seem to distance themselves from each other enough. The pair co-parent their 3 kids, but they also cause a lot of drama whether or not they are together. But they've never been completely out of each other's lives, since Scott is also part of the Keeping Up with the Kardashians lineup. Because they've been through so much together, fans continue to ship them, but really, we shouldn't be romanticizing their toxic relationship. In the past, Scott has cheated on Kourtney, and even when they were broken up, has said that he's dated other women, specifically those much younger than him, only to make Kourtney jealous. Kourtney and Scott also struggled with Scott's substance abuse problem, with Kourt once going so far as to tell Scott that if he didn't get help, she wouldn't allow him to see their kid, and for a long time, Scott refused to get help. Things finally ended for good in 2015 when Scott was accused of cheating with one of his exes and Kourtney just had enough of his infidelity. From that point, they haven't been in an official relationship, but they haven't kept their distance either. Kourtney has made comments about having another kid with Scott even though they aren't together, and Scott has been very vocal about how heartbroken he is to see Kourt in a new relationship. Bottom line here is that they are toxic and that we have to stop giving in to them. At number 10, Justin Timberlake and Britney Spears. Justin Timberlake was exposed this year after the truth came out about his toxic relationship and breakup with Britney Spears back in the early 2000s. The Framing Britney Spears documentary that was released recently looks into the way the pop star was shown in the media, from paparazzi to interviews, and it dives deep into how this stardom affected her. A big part of the documentary explores Justin Timberlake's role in the media's mistreatment of Britney. After their relationship ended, Justin made Britney look like a villain in the relationship, accusing her of cheating and essentially weaponizing their breakup to boost his career. The media then went on a frenzy, blaming and shaming her when she really didn't deserve it. People's eyes were opened into just how toxic their relationship and subsequent breakup was, and a lot of sympathy has been given towards Britney as the truth has finally come out about the whole thing. For a long time, people saw the pop star as the villain, but now we've learned that she was really just a victim of a toxic relationship. At number 9, Ariel Winter. Modern Family star Ariel Winter has had a toxic relationship with her family, and things were so toxic, in fact, that she was emancipated from them. Her family drama was outed as the court hearing for her emancipation trial went public back in 2012, and it showed the public how she was treated, specifically by her mother. It was alleged that Ariel's mom interfered with her daughter's work because of her, quote, harassment and interference. There were reports of her mom not feeding Ariel and dressing her in a way that was inappropriate for someone her age. It was also reported that Ariel's mom had repeatedly laid hands on her child as well. There were a number of testimonies that painted a toxic image of Ariel's family, and she was eventually granted emancipation after a 3-year battle. Some of the most heartbreaking toxic relationships are those between family because they're the ones who are supposed to love you the most, but they can also hurt you the most. Before I carry on with the video, I would just like to ask you guys to consider leaving a like on this video because it really does help us out a lot. At number 8, Chad Johnson and Evelyn Lozada. Chad Johnson, also known as Chad Ochocinco, and ex-wife Evelyn Lozada were only married for 2 months, but so much toxic drama happened in that short amount of time to permanently damage their relationship. Their relationship had been intense for a long time, but it wasn't until after they got married that the world learned just how toxic it was. After dating for less than a year, the two got married in the 4th of July ceremony in 2012, but just 2 months later, there came an incident that shattered their relationship. Evelyn recalled finding a receipt in Chad's car for items that prompted the idea that Chad was cheating. The two fought, and it all ended with Chad seriously injuring his wife. Chad was later arrested for battery and domestic violence, and they divorced shortly after the incident. Evelyn did an interview after the ordeal where she opened up about her feelings on the situation.
You know, I knew that he was lying, and I told him, I never forget telling him, I said, I'm not sticking by you through this. I don't care if my marriage is the laughing stock.
And the two eventually went their separate ways. Overall, the relationship burnt out really quickly, but it was fueled by toxicity, and in the end, no one really deserves to have that in their lives. At number 7, Wiz Khalifa and Amber Rose. Wiz Khalifa and Amber Rose were married for some time after tying the knot in 2013, but after 14 months of marriage, things got toxic, they divorced, and it was a nasty breakup. There were allegations of cheating, and custody of their son was also up for debate. Years later, Amber Rose opened up about her brief marriage to Wiz Khalifa and the toxicity around it, and spoke about her regrets concerning their relationship. She once said how she regretted getting married when she did because they didn't give themselves enough time to grow in their relationship, and this was one of the things that contributed to the hostility. Amber also said that she felt as though they would have had more success in their marriage had they gotten married later in life, calling their wedding a mistake at the time. They took some time and have grown to be friends, so maybe this toxicity has been forgotten about by them, but not so much by their longtime fans. At number 6, Khloe Kardashian and Tristan Thompson. Here we have yet another toxic Kardashian relationship. In one of my previous videos, I talked about how Kim and Kanye's relationship was toxic, but here's another one that contained a bombshell cheating scandal. Khloe Kardashian and Tristan Thompson have had a very difficult relationship. Things were apparently toxic from the very beginning, since it was believed that Tristan was cheating on his ex with Khloe when they first got together, so the infidelity in their relationship was apparent from the get-go. Things were going pretty okay for a while, with Khloe even getting pregnant with Tristan's baby, but in April 2018, just shortly after their daughter True was born, photos of Tristan appearing to cheat were leaked, and TMZ even leaked footage from 2017 showing Tristan kissing women at a club. This was a huge deal, especially as this all came out around the birth of their daughter, but what surprised a lot of people is how quickly Khloe got over it. Things mostly died down after a few weeks, but later in 2019, more cheating allegations came out, detailing how he had been cheating on Khloe again, this time with their longtime family friend Jordyn Woods. This was supposedly the nail in their relationship's coffin, but now in 2021, there have been reports saying Khloe and Tristan are back together, and that Khloe has mostly gotten over his infidelity. This doesn't look good and really just looks like a toxic mess, but we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens with them.
At number 5, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. Brangelina used to be one of the hottest celebrity matches in Hollywood. Once upon a time, they were seen as the industry's it couple, having spanned over 10 years and raising many kids together, but their divorce is where things got toxic and messy. When the couple announced they were calling it quits in 2016, a lot of people wondered why, and one of the answers given was because of a dispute that Brad had allegedly had with Angelina about his substance abuse that resulted in Brad getting into an altercation with their oldest son, Maddox. It was alleged that Brad was abusive, and though an investigation cleared him of said allegations, Angie is now saying that she's prepared to show proof that Brad was in fact hurting his family. Recently, Angelina came forward saying that she is willing to offer her children's testimony against Brad as proof, and this could blow the doors off their relationship, giving us more information about how toxic things really were. At number 4, Kim Kardashian and Kanye West. With the recent divorce announcement from Kim Kardashian and Kanye West, we are finding out more about the demise of their marriage. It turns out they felt that their relationship was crumbling towards the end of last year, and the couple decided to seek different living arrangements, spending time apart as a result of, quote, downright toxicity in their marriage. Though they said they wanted to make things work, according to sources, it reached a point where, quote, bickering turned into nasty blow-ups and confrontations, end quote. They didn't want to expose their kids to this kind of negativity, and they took some time apart, but that time apart is looking to be a lot longer now. After Kanye reportedly blew up at Kim, they were never able to patch things up after that, and so they filed for divorce. Before all of this happened, they seemed to have been on good terms as they supported one another through every bump in the road, but in recent months, their support and good conversation turned cold and apparently evolved into them only speaking when necessary and only talking about menial things like what to have for dinner. I'm wishing them all the best in the days to come as they sort out their affairs. At number 3, Eminem and Kim Mathers. When asked about some toxic relationships they know of, a surprising amount of people reference rapper Eminem and his ex-wife Kim Mathers. Eminem, whose real name is Marshall Mathers, met Kim in a youth home in 1988 when they were teenagers. From that point, they stayed by each other's side, even living together at his mother's home. From that point until 1999, the two had a rocky relationship, being on and off again. And in 1995, they had a daughter, and later on, they got married. Their wedding took place on June 14, 1999, just before Marshall's first major tour as his career was taking off. Kim said that this tour took the greatest toll on their marriage, saying, quote, "When Marshall's tour first started is when his ego went poof. Like he was a god. That's what he thought. I was just told that I should be grateful that he still talks to me. You know how many women throw themselves at him, and I pretty much felt like a piece of crap." End quote. From then, their marriage went downhill as they were met with cheating scandals and mental health struggles. Eventually, they got a divorce in 2000, remarried in 2006, then divorced again, this time ending things for good. They're reportedly still friends, but being in a romantic relationship just was too toxic for them. At number 2, Mel Gibson and Oksana Grigorova. Mel Gibson is probably one of the most hated people in Hollywood. I think it's safe to make that assumption after all the scandals he's been in surrounding his hate for so many people. Mel has been in a toxic relationship before, and many of us are aware of the horrible ways he's treated people, especially his former partner, Oksana Grigorova. The two had a very messy breakup in 2010, and at this time, an audio recording came out that showed Mel yelling at Oksana and saying horrible things to her about her body because he was mad that she allegedly lied to him about having breast implants. In the recording, Mel was heard saying horrible things about how he hated the way she looked, claiming she looked provocative and inappropriate, and even saying that if she were to be taken advantage of, it would be her fault for looking the way she did. This was a nasty, swear word-ridden rant that honestly no one deserves to hear. If this recording didn't paint enough of a toxic picture, then I don't know what would. And finally, number 1, Mike Tyson and Robin Givens. Back in the late 80s, Mike Tyson was dating model Robin Givens. Shortly after they started dating, Robin announced that she was pregnant with Mike's child, and so he married her to, quote, do the right thing. Mike had given Robin and her mother $15 million in order to get themselves settled in a nice house, and it seemed like Mike took care of them. But after a few months passed, Mike noticed that Robin's pregnancy wasn't progressing, and that's when she told him that she actually had lost the baby months prior and just didn't tell him. He was hurt by this discovery, but still stayed by her side. It wasn't until their famous Barbara Walters interview came out that things really cracked for the couple and things got toxic. The interview was originally supposed to be an exclusive with Mike, but apparently just before getting started, Robin pulled Barbara aside to tell her that she had some things she wanted to say, and then proceeded to speak out about how Mike had allegedly been hurting her, saying that she was being mistreated in the relationship. They soon divorced after, but people believe that the whole truth wasn't uncovered. Sources say that Robin was manipulating Mike and that things had been toxic because of her, but Mike just let it happen. It's confusing and messy, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. Now, I also want you guys to tell me about any other celebrities that should be on this list. I know there have been many other toxic celebrity relationships, so leave some suggestions for more people to include on this list.